Welcome into the Extra Point presented by Corner Pulp in Brentwood on 710 Old Hooker Boulevard for Nashville's best meat and 3 craft beers and more. The neighborhood meets at the corner, and Steve Watterson, the Titans' longtime strength coach, has been with the organization going all the way back to Houston in 1986, is meeting with Mike Vrabel and John Robinson and company on Friday morning to determine if he will return under the new coach. But something's been going on with the Titans and their strength program this past season, because we counted it up. There were 7 players that had hamstring injuries this year, and 5 players for the Titans missed games because of a hamstring injury. What type of impact do you think this had on the season, and should Steve Watterson be back?
I mean, besides the coaching staff not adjusting and making the right changes throughout the season to get better, the hamstring issue was massive. The 2 biggest, I would say, Marcus Mariota, number 1, because the Titans lost to Miami because he could not play. You could say they lost to the Houston Texans because that second half, he didn't have an opportunity to come back. So that's 2 games that impacted him, and God knows how long through the rest of the season his hamstring haggled him. And Corey Davis. Corey Davis hurt his hamstring early on into training camp. They tried to bring him back too soon, got injured again. And he really gave you 0 rookie production that you expected from a 5th overall pick. When you pick a guy that high, first wide receiver taken in last year's draft, you expect him to get to the 1,000-yard mark. He wasn't even close to that.
Yeah, and those are 2 big names, Mariota and Corey Davis. Then Delaney Walker missed practice time with a hamstring injury. DeMarco Murray missed a lot of training camp and some other practice time with a hamstring injury. LaShawn Sims missed the last couple games of the season with a hamstring injury. And Jonathan Cyprien got hurt in the season opener with a hamstring injury, and he was out for a couple months. How does this impact Steve Watterson, though, coming back?
Well, I think changes have to be made. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not retained because something's going on. I made sure I asked Mike Mularkey in his final press conference, was the day before they parted ways, what was the reasoning behind it? What did he say? He said, well, every situation is different, and it is what it is, and there's nothing really to prevent it. Why are the Titans having all these hamstring injuries to impact players? And you don't hear that around the league as much.
Yeah, Rashard Matthews, 5th guy to miss a game for the Titans because of a hamstring injury. I don't know what it is, but to me, it doesn't. I don't think this is a Steve Watterson problem, because Steve Watterson's been with the organization, like I said, since 1986. He's been through coaching changes. He's been through strength and conditioning overhauls each decade, and as science gets better, nutrition gets better, he's adapted with them.
Well, the hamstrings aren't getting any better.
The hamstrings were bad this year. And we talked to players in training camp. Jack Conklin told us this. Delaney Walker told us this in training camp and throughout the season, that the Titans were a well-conditioned team, and that's why they were so good in the second half of games, because of how good Steve Watterson did of a job of getting them in good shape. I don't know what's going on with his hamstring issues, but I'm not tying those to Steve Watterson.
Do you think he'll be retained?
To me, you brought this up. Mike Vrabel had a sit-down meeting with Dick LeBeau telling him why he wasn't going to be back. If Steve Watterson was going to be back, he probably wouldn't need a sit-down meeting with Steve Watterson. I foresee Steve Watterson moving on from the Titans organization.
Well, one thing that has to happen in 2018, they can't have their big-time players go down with the same damn injury. There's a problem. Something has to change. And if it's Watterson, it's Watterson.
And that's today's Extra Point presented by Corner Pub in Brentwood on A to Z Sports Nashville.com.